Imagine standing in the middle of a vast square, surrounded by thousands of people screaming your name, not to cheer you on, but to hurl their sharpest insults at you. In that moment, primal instinct rises more powerfully than ever. Blood rushes to your brain, your heart pounds as if trying to shatter your ribcage, and a fire of rage flares up, incinerating your composure. This is a natural human reaction, a defense mechanism programmed millions of years ago to protect the individual's existence against threats. However, in the modern world, the threat is no longer a wild beast or an armed enemy, but sounds, judgments, and scornful looks. And the greatest tragedy of modern humanity is that we still use the fight or flight mechanism to deal with intangible things like words. When a criticism is uttered, it is like an arrow being loosed. But there is a brutal truth that few realize. That arrow never touches you unless you reach out, catch it yourself, and stab it into your own heart. Words, in a physical sense, are merely the vibrations of sound waves in the air, or lifeless characters on a phone screen. They are entirely harmless until they pass through the filter of the ego. Look deep inside yourself right now, as you recall the last time you were humiliated or belittled. Where did that pain come from? It did not come from the speaker. It came from your own resistance to reality. You suffered because you believed reality should be different, that the person should have respected you. The gap between what is happening and what you want to happen is exactly where the pain resides. This world operates on chaos and diversity. There will always be people who do not understand you, people who project their own pain onto you, and people who simply want to see you collapse so they can feel a little taller. If you hand over control of your emotions to anyone who opens their mouth to criticize you, you are living the life of a slave. A slave not bound by iron chains, but puppeteered by the opinions of others. Ask yourself, are you truly free if a casual remark by a stranger on social media can destroy your entire happy day? The ultimate power of a human being lies not in how loud they can scream to drown out an enemy, but in the ability to stand still like a mountain amidst a storm. The silence we are discussing here is not suppression. It is not swallowing anger only to fall ill later. It is a state of higher awareness, where you see through the nature of the criticism and realize it has no relevance to your core value. Most people mistakenly believe that reacting is the way to show strength. They think that if they don't clap back, they will be seen as weak, as losers. This mindset is steeped in a belligerent society where the ego is overly worshipped. But observe the spiritual masters, the sages, or even the greatest leaders in history. They all possess an invisible armor woven from understanding. When someone throws mud at them, they do not throw it back. Nor do they stand there to endure it. They simply become transparent. They let the words pass through them as if through the void. When you no longer have an ego to defend, you are no longer a target for others to attack. Silence in the face of criticism is the alchemy of the soul. It transforms the opponent's negative energy into your own stillness. When you react, you are feeding the monster of conflict. You are confirming that the other person's words have weight, value, and enough power to shake you. Conversely, silence is the most ruthless mirror. When an attacker throws a punch into empty space, they lose their momentum and fall forward. When someone utters venomous words but receives only calm silence in return, those words ricochet back into their own mind, forcing them to confront their own ugliness. But achieving this state is not a matter of a day or two. It requires a painful surgery of the mind to excise the tumor known as the need for validation. Why does criticism hurt? Because deep down, you are still seeking external confirmation of your worth. You are like a house built on the sandy foundation of public opinion, and any gust of wind can shake that foundation. Learning to be silent is not learning a communication skill, but learning to reinforce your own foundation. It is the journey from being a leaf in the wind to becoming the wind itself. You need to understand that those who criticize you often do not see you. They only see the reflection of their own prejudices, fears, and insecurities projected onto you. When someone says, "You are so stupid," they are effectively saying, "I feel insecure about my own intellect, and I need to put someone down to feel safer." When you understand this psychological mechanism, anger disappears, giving way to compassion, or at least indifference. You are no longer the victim of words, you become the observer. This observer position opens up a sacred space between stimulus and response. In that narrow sliver of time, lasting only a few split seconds, is where human free will truly resides. When criticism hurtles toward you, instead of letting your nervous system automatically activate an old, worn-out defense script, you pause. You take a conscious breath. You watch the words hover in midair, completely detached from your being. At this moment, silence is no longer emptiness. It is an impenetrable fortress, a protective energy field that no verbal weapon can pierce. This silence carries the weight of 1,000 pounds. It has the power to paralyze the opponent because it shatters the usual script of communication they expect. They await outrage, justification, or at least a pained expression. But when you offer them absolute stillness, you throw them into an indefinite void where they must wrestle with their own words. Imagine holding a burning coal to throw at someone else. Before the coal hits its target, your hand is the first to be burned. Those who utter criticism are the same. They are incinerating their own souls with the fire of envy and malice. Why would you want to jump into that fire with them? Your silence is the act of refusing to accept the toxic gift they are trying to thrust into your hands. An ancient story tells of a sage passing through a village and being terribly insulted by a crowd. He simply smiled and walked on. When his disciple asked why he didn't react, he replied, "If someone brings you a gift but you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" Silence is the most emphatic answer. I do not accept this gift. It remains yours. However, the biggest trap humans often fall into is confusing external silence with internal suppression. There are many who keep their mouths shut, but inside their heads, a fierce debate is screaming. They are silent, but their eyes spark with fire, their breathing is rapid, and their minds are busy drafting revenge scenarios for the future. That is not the silence of the enlightened. It is a ticking time bomb. This fake silence is even more dangerous than an explosion, for it accumulates toxins in your body, corroding your mental and physical health day by day. The true silence you need to aim for is the stillness of the deep ocean. On the surface, there may be waves and storms driven by external forces, but thousands of meters down, the water remains eternally calm, peaceful, and immutable. Your mind must reach that depth. When someone criticizes you, let it be just ripples on the surface. Do not allow it to disturb the peace at the bottom of your soul. Have you ever wondered why you crave so desperately to explain, to justify yourself when misunderstood or criticized? It is the fear of separation, the fear of social ostracism. Your ego whispers, "If they think wrongly of me, my image will be tarnished. I will lose respect." But look straight at reality. You can never completely control how others perceive you. Even if you are the saintliest person, there will still be those who despise you simply because the way you breathe annoys them. Trying to explain your true self to someone determined to misunderstand is the most terrible waste of life energy. It is like trying to teach quantum physics to a frog. The frog does not understand, and you end up exhausted. Remember, those who love and understand you do not need your explanation, and those who hate you will not believe it. So who does that explanation serve? It serves only the fragile comfort of a bruised ego. Spiritual maturity is marked by the ability to endure being misunderstood without losing your joy. It is a high realm where you detach your self-worth from societal reflection. Imagine you are a diamond. If a blind person touches you and claims you are just a common pebble, does the essence of the diamond change? Does it sparkle any less? Certainly not. The value of the diamond lies in its internal structure, not in the blind person's comment. Similarly, your value is built from your qualities, your actions, the love and wisdom you carry within. The criticism of others is merely opinion, not reality. When you thoroughly understand this, you will feel a massive burden lifted from your shoulders. You no longer have to live the life of an actor constantly trying to please the toughest critics. You begin to live your own life, authentic and raw. But how do you silence the noisy voice in your head when criticism strikes? The secret lies in shifting the focus of your attention. Energy flows where attention goes. When you focus on the other person's words, you give them energy. When you focus on your discomfort, you feed the pain. Instead, shift your attention inside your body. Feel your feet touching the ground. Feel the breath entering and leaving. Anchor yourself in the physical present immediately. This simple act short-circuits the flow of negative thoughts and brings you back to reality. You are no longer the person being criticized. You are simply a presence breathing. In that state of presence, there is no past, no future, and therefore, no insult can exist. The insult only exists in the story your mind weaves around those words. Without the story, words are merely sound. This is the moment we need to dissect the ego more deeply, the mastermind standing behind all your suffering in the face of criticism. The ego is a fragile structure built from memories, beliefs, and comparisons. It lives in constant fear of collapse, like a paranoid tyrant always terrified of being overthrown. When criticism appears, the ego views it as a mortal attack. It screams, "He is looking down on me! How dare he speak of me like that?" But who is this me? If you peel away the layers of name, title, assets, history, and even this body, what remains? What remains is pure consciousness, a silent and immutable presence. And the good news is, pure consciousness cannot be hurt. No words can scratch it. No humiliation can stain it. When you learn to be silent before criticism, you are essentially practicing the act of not identifying yourself with the false ego. You are stepping back, observing the ego thrashing about, screaming for justice, but you do not participate in that drama. You watch the ego as you would watch a child throwing a tantrum. You can smile at it, comfort it, but you do not let it take the wheel of your life. This is a monumental turning point in the spiritual journey. You shift from the position of a character in the movie to the position of the movie viewer. The character in the movie may cry, suffer, and be beaten, but the viewer remains safely in their seat, completely at peace. Your silence is the proof that you have found that viewer's seat. Try applying a powerful reverse psychology technique. Instead of avoiding criticism, become curious about it. When someone criticizes you, listen as if you were a scientist studying a strange specimen. Ask yourself, what makes this person say such things? Where are they hurting? Is there any truth in these words that I need to consider? When you approach the situation with curiosity instead of defensiveness, the energy of the encounter changes completely. Criticism turns into data. If it is true, thank them for pointing out a blind spot so you can improve. If it is false, it is merely meaningless noise and you need not bother with it. In both cases, you win. You win because you do not lose your peace. Silence at this moment is no longer endurance, but active and wise reception. Furthermore, silence is a ruthless test for the relationships around you. Those who truly cherish you will never intentionally use words to hurt you. Those who use criticism as a tool to manipulate or belittle you will be clearly revealed when you do not react as they expect. Your silence will confuse them, perhaps even anger them more, because they have lost control over you. Remember, toxic people need your reaction like vampires need blood. When you cut off that supply, they will be forced to leave in search of easier prey. Silence, therefore, becomes a natural filter, helping you purge your life of negative energies without having to speak a single bitter word of farewell. However, do not mistake silence for passivity or weakness. There are times when action is necessary, but action born of silence is entirely different from action born of reaction. Action from silence is conscious, precise, and effective. It is like the strike of a samurai sword, fast, clean, and without excess. If you need to speak up to defend the truth or justice, you will speak. But those words will not carry the venom of resentment. They will ring out steely, clear, and authoritative because they are emitted from a still mind. A word spoken from peace has 1,000 times the power of words screamed in anger. It goes straight to the listener's heart, stirring their conscience rather than triggering their defenses. Life is a vast school, and those who criticize you are the strictest teachers. They are sent not to crush you, but to help you forge your inner strength. Imagine you are weight training. Criticisms are the heavy weights. If you avoid them, your mental muscles will forever be atrophied. But if you face them, lift them with composure, and set them down with detachment, you will become extraordinarily strong. Every time you choose silence over argument, you are accumulating a kind of inner power that money cannot buy. It is the power of self-mastery. Gradually, you will notice that criticism affects you less and less. It becomes weightless, like cotton hitting iron skin. You reach a state of unwavering mind amidst the shifting currents of life. And when you reach that state, a miracle occurs. You begin to radiate an energy field of peace. Those around you will feel your stability. They will come to you not to hear you argue, but to lean on your stillness. You become a lighthouse in a storm. You don't need to sound a loud siren. You just need to stand there and shine. The light of silence has the power to heal not only you, but also those lost in the storms of their own emotions. Even those who once criticized you, in the face of your steadfast calm, will eventually have to bow in respect, or at least retreat in shame. That is victory without swords, the victory of light over darkness. This journey does not end with you becoming emotionally numb. Do not mistake spiritual silence for the insensitivity of wood and stone. A heart that knows how to be silent amidst gossip is a heart that is incredibly sensitive and compassionate, but it knows how to filter what is allowed to enter its inner temple. You still hear the birds singing, you still vibrate to a beautiful piece of music, and you still shed tears for the suffering of your fellow human beings. But you close the door to the refuse of toxic words. This selectivity is the pinnacle of emotional intelligence. You become the gatekeeper of your own soul, resolute and strict. No uninvited guest, whether it be anger, self-pity, or resentment, can barge in and vandalize the party of peace within you. Look to nature to learn the greatest lesson on silence. Trees grow in silence. The moon and stars move in silence. Life flourishes in silence. The true power of this universe lies not in noise, but in the vast silence that contains everything. When you merge with that silence, you are reconnecting with the source of your power. You realize that the small, easily wounded ego is just an illusion. You are much bigger than that. You are the deep blue sky, and criticisms are merely dark clouds passing by. Clouds may obscure the sun for a moment, but they can never stain the sky. The sky does not fight the clouds, it simply contains them and lets them drift away. Be the sky, vast, tolerant, and attached to nothing. In your daily practice, start with the smallest things. When reading a negative comment online, instead of typing a reply immediately, turn off your phone screen, close your eyes, and smile. That smile is the smile of victory over instinct. When a colleague makes a sarcastic remark, look at them with eyes of understanding rather than animosity, and continue your work with even higher focus. The sweetest revenge is your resounding success. Let the results of your work speak on behalf of your mouth. The noise of success will drown out the buzzing of summer cicadas. Do not waste the precious time of your life throwing stones at every dog barking by the roadside, or you will never reach your destination. There is an interesting paradox. When you no longer fear criticism, you are criticized less. Why? Because you no longer emit the frequency of a victim. Bullies, whether on the schoolyard, in the office, in real life, or in the virtual world, have a keen sense of smell for fear. They hunt for weakness. When you stand firm in powerful silence, you become unappetizing to them. You do not react. You do not suffer. You do not beg. You become a slippery glass wall. All their attempts to cling to you fail, and eventually they will get bored and leave. Your silence has disarmed them in the gentlest way possible. Finally, remember that life is too short to live according to someone else's script. Every minute you spend thinking about criticism is a minute you steal from your own happiness, from your loved ones, and from the dreams waiting for you to realize them. Death waits at the end of the road as an eternal reminder of the meaninglessness of petty disputes. When lying on your deathbed in your final moments, will you regret not arguing enough? Or will you regret letting the meaningless words of strangers muddy your most beautiful years? The answer is all too clear. So why not start living that free life today? Let go of the burden of judgment. Walk lightly like the wind, leaving no trace of hatred. Silence in the face of criticism is not just a life skill, it is a lifestyle, a path leading to liberation. When you master silence, you master life. You are no longer a leaf blown by the wind. You are the mountain, the ocean, the sky. You are everything, and you are nothing. And in that nothingness, you find everything you ever sought: peace, joy, and absolute freedom. The world may be noisy, but your mind is already a silent sanctuary. And no one, absolutely no one, has the right to enter and make noise without your permission. Carry this lesson of silence as your most precious provision. Practice it every day, every hour, in every breath. When storms strike, remember the deep ocean within your heart. Sink down, sink deeper still, to where all sounds fade away, leaving only divine presence. There, you are safe. There, you are invulnerable. There, you are yourself, radiant, eternal, and free. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.